everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on appointments. As you're coming in, I want to make sure that the chat is working. So I'd love it if you could share two things. Pop open your chat window and share with me what the name of your business is and where you are tuning in from. Let me see. The Dance Den in New Jersey. Welcome, Heather. Ohio, Florida, California, Alberta, Wyoming. Oh my goodness, so many people.
But I love to see it.
Oh, hey, Miller Street.
Miss Shay.
Hey, everyone. It's so great to see just some names. I would say faces, but I can't see those. I can visualize some of you in my head. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining. It's great to see, one, that the chat is working, and two, that you all are here and ready to learn about appointments. A couple housekeeping items before we start talking about that. Clearly, like I said, chat is on. Please use it as we are going through this session. If there is anything that you feel like you could add to the conversation, or something that you could share that you think other attendees might benefit from, please use that to help keep the conversation going. The Q&A is also available. So if you have a very specific question for one of our panelists, you can use the Q&A as we're going along so that we can hit those at the very end, time allowing. The session is being recorded and it will be shared out by Friday of this week. And then lastly, I've got an exciting announcement about tomorrow's session that I will be sharing at the end of the panel. So make sure that you stick around to hear about that. All right, so let's get into it. I'm Molly. If we haven't met, I am the head of growth marketing at Jackrabbit, and I am honored to be here with two phenomenal women. I have Amber Smith and Jeannie Glogowski. Amber is our product marketing manager at Jackrabbit, and she has worked so closely with the product and marketing teams, really the entire company, if I'm being honest, to help us bring this appointments feature to market. And Jeannie, she is one of the product managers at Jackrabbit, and so much of the appointments feature development work the team executed was really led by her. So these two women are just a wealth of knowledge whenever it comes to appointments, and they'll be able to share so many details about how this new way of scheduling private lessons will impact your business, could impact your business. So welcome, Amber and Jeannie. Is there anything that you would like to add before we get started?
No, just excited to be here.
Good to be here and introduce everybody that's not aware about appointments to let you learn more.
Awesome. Okay, so before I start asking questions of them, Amber and Jeannie asked me to ask you all a question. So I'm going to put you guys on the panel for just a second, everyone who's attending. Nicole, if you're backstage, can you pop open the poll? You should see this on your screen. So we want to know, are you currently using appointments or a different tool to help you schedule appointments at your youth activity center?
Look at those people already using appointments.
We've got the pole dancing a little bit. Fluctuating. Okay, so it looks like a couple people are using appointments through Jackrabbit. Some are using a different tool, not using anything. Okay, that's fantastic. No answer is the wrong answer, I guess is what I was going to say. So if you are using a different tool or nothing at all, please remember, if you have questions as we're going along, that Q&A feature really is for you if you have a question for Amber or Jeannie. So I'm going to stop share just so we can get a little bit cozy with one another. I'll share the results of the panel if you guys want to see it. Okay, so we're going to get a little bit cozy right now. And just start asking some questions. So Amber, I'm going to start with you and just ask why were appointments created and what was the void you felt like it was filling in our industries?
Yeah, so Jackrabbit has had a way to address private lessons with the class max size being a 1. That is what constituted a private lesson in Jackrabbit previously, but we needed a better way to accommodate private lessons, especially for those that have a high volume of them, without having to pre-create all these potential time slots where you could book something. We needed a smarter booking engine that allowed more flexibility so that when you are filling those gaps in your schedule, you really are generating revenue and not spending it on admin time to get that information out there. So being able to create those instances at the time of booking, because you're basing it on instructor and room availability, was the best way to reduce time for setting up private lessons and also not have to use another solution.
The time and revenue and one solution really does. Like, yes, that's why we did it. That's a huge reason why. Jeannie, is there anything, and I don't want to ask this for every question, but Jeannie, is there anything that you would like to add to Amber's response? Just know that you guys are welcome to elaborate a little bit more if you'd like to.
No, I mean, I think that was like the initial known thing. People were asking for quote unquote private lessons. I need a private lessons feature because they're creating hundreds, I would venture to say thousands in some cases, of class records or events to accommodate private lessons throughout their year. So, initially that was the major void, and then we let that expand to cover so many things. But yeah, that was initially it.
So that's a really great segue into the next question that I have for you. And it's, people were asking for private lessons and you said that was the initial delivery and it's kind of expanded. How did appointments evolve when the product team started like researching it, when they sat down and said, okay, we're doing it?
The more we were looking at feedback, there's been some question, well, why didn't we call it private lessons? And it's because the appointments piece encompasses the concept of that dynamic booking capability. And so private lessons falls under that concept as well as all these other things. So at first, when we started looking at the private lessons feature, which eventually became appointments, we were just thinking of it in a one-to-one relationship. Your instructor, when they have availability, and when the student might book a time with the instructor. And the more we started to look at everything that people also needed, and we're reading feedback, we were seeing things like, I also need a solution for room rentals, tours, consultations, volunteer sessions, photography, apparel fittings. And in a sense, a lot of those were like kind of like a private lesson. And so we decided that we would take an approach that would be way more flexible than just the one-to-one relationship. And we evolved the concept over time to let there be multiple different relationships between entities. So now folks can build an appointment type that is the basic, here's when we are available, the window of time, not related to anything in particular, pick a time, or have Jackrabbit check conflicts for multiple different things and relationships of availability for staff, students, rooms, and so on.
Okay. I think you answered the next question that I'm going to ask you just whenever you were talking about dynamic booking capabilities and the flexibility of the feature. But I'm going to ask it anyhow, just in the event that you want to expand on it a little bit more, or Amber, you want to add to it. What makes the appointments feature that we've developed so powerful, would you say?
I can keep expanding.
Let's go.
So definitely the power piece is that it's different. So it's different. Our classes and pre-scheduled classes and events are also powerful, but these are powerful in a different way because you have the dynamic piece that is checking conflicts on the fly where you don't have to pre-create them. So you have that dynamic flexibility, but also we were able to initially include things like start time increments. Do you want to offer your families a way to book things every 5 minutes or 30 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour? So you have that control over your start time increments. You have controls over whether parents can book or cancel different types of appointments. And then also power over controlling your transaction dates, when you would like things to be due and when you would like those payments to be auto collected if you're using our auto processing payments feature.
Yeah, I think one of the other points too is if we're thinking appointment booking outside of just Jackrabbit, like, if you're checking in to see what we're doing, but you use a different software, our recurring appointments are really powerful because it posts the fees with the date of the appointment so that you don't have to say, okay, well, it posted the first one and now I got to go remember to post the rest of the fees. We're making sure that you know what needs to be collected. So you're not trying to keep up with that outside of Jackrabbit.
Yeah, I would say that's a good addition. So Amber, and thank you, Jeannie, for elaborating on that more. When we're thinking about, or Jeannie was talking about how appointments has evolved, what are the different phases of appointments that have rolled out so far? Like how have we got to this point? And if you want to shed light on, maybe what's coming, you can do that too.
Okay. So as some of you have probably picked up on, you're now seeing our features coming out in phases. You heard Molly use that word. And the idea of that is if we can get you value sooner, even if it's helping with part of the solution, we want to get it to the people that are ready to start using it right away. So for some people, the first phase of appointments where it was strictly the administrative side of being able to manage your appointment types and book internally, that was enough. They didn't want to open it up to parents. So that was the first one that was released. And that, Jeannie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that felt like the biggest piece to get out there. And then it felt like things started rolling after that. It was a brand new feature that we had to incorporate into many parts of the system. Then we released recurring appointments. So it works very similar to like if you're setting up a Google meeting where you can set it to recur and you can decide how often it recurs. And then the most exciting part, I think, was when we released booking and managing appointments to the parent portal. So allowing parents even to go into the portal, book or cancel within a certain threshold. That way that took that administrative time off of staff. It eliminated emails and phone calls that, the parents could just go in there and self-serve. And I don't want to give too much away because it's probably something that Jeannie will speak to, but there's a really exciting update coming up soon where recurring appointments will be in the parent portal. And I know that will be a game changer and really save time for a lot of people. So really excited about that.
Yeah. So Amber, you said, thank you for breaking down kind of one of our jargon terms that we use internally, phases, and it's really to help you all see value sooner. I believe that 15% of you all, if I'm remembering the poll correctly, are using appointments. So with Jackrabbit. And so if you like in the chat or something, throw an emoji if you have seen value in it already and are looking forward to it evolving more, throw it in the chat. We'd love to see and maybe hear how you've gotten some value out of appointments already. You don't have to share, but I would love to know. Okay, so let's see other questions that I have for you. Amber, you talked about recurring appointments, so I'm going to hop on over to this one and I'm going to ask it of both of you. How easy is it to set up the recurring appointments in Jackrabbit?
You want to take this one, Jeannie, or you want me to?
You go ahead and then I'll tack on whatever.
Okay. So the recurring appointments as of right now on the administrative side happens when you go to book the appointment. So you've selected the instructor, the student, the date, the time, and then you can select whether it repeats or not. And then you can choose from there. So like I said, it's really similar to if you're adding something to your Google Calendar and you want it to repeat. So And as we mentioned earlier, the fact that the fees post also is a really big help for you guys. So you don't have to remember what already posted and what still needs to post. And so yeah, Jeannie, I'll let you add on to that a little bit more.
Yeah, same. Just, I think other things to consider are that we gave you a wealth of repeating patterns. So for years, and this goes back to when I had a performing arts center, and our private lessons often needed to meet every other week. And you can't do that with class records very well without creating them individually. So now you can choose one that meets every other week, or every date on the same month, or every week on the same month on the next month. So it's kind of fun actually to go in there and practice.
Yeah.
Booking recurring appointments, because there's just so many options for how to do it.
Yeah, and I did see a really good question in the chat. So since we're here having a conversation, going off the cuff. Lynn said she doesn't understand why we would use appointments feature instead of setting a regular class to a size of 1. And I think that's just a really good point to point out. If that works for you, I don't think there is a need to switch your private lessons to appointments. For those people that it wasn't working for them, you have the option. There's no give or take. You don't have to. You can keep going the same way that you have, but if you would like to have this extra functionality that classes don't have, then you can switch to appointments for those types of services.
Yeah, exactly. The class records with a max size of 1 or 2, if they're semi-private lessons, and they are regular weekly recurrences, and they are working for you, then keep using them. They come with those class records or events come with other things that you might like and want to keep using. This appointments feature, if you think about it, initially was to really solve for these folks who are like, I just want to tell you when I'm available, and you book your ad hoc appointments or recurring appointments, wherever. They just want to take the load off of them. You don't want anything pre-created because they don't know who's going to take those spots. And so this is really filling that void.
Yeah. It's really taking the approach of like think less, right? I don't
Yeah.
need to tell you when I'm available. I just
don't
every day, right?
Such a
I
fair
don't
question.
necessarily know who's going to be in this spot. I just know the spot's available for them. Yeah.
Yeah, but such a fair question that I think, maybe we haven't answered as directly as we could. It's not, we didn't redo classes so that you have to move over to appointments.
Yeah. And I see a couple comments about, not wanting to use it or not using it yet, wanting to come to this webinar. Excellent. I'm glad you came to this webinar to kind of see how you could use it. So you'll hear just Amber and Jeannie really talking about the why and the value it can bring. And I would just encourage you, come tomorrow so that you can go into like the correct room and see if you are a client, how you can set it up, right? Just some general settings. And then if you're not using it, just kind of the look and feel of the application. So just thank you. Thank you for coming and sharing that you're not using it yet. You just want to learn more. Okay. You kind of talked about this just a little bit, Jeannie. So one question that I had for you is how are appointments different from classes and events in Jackrabbit? And we were kind of on that subject, but I still wanted to ask you that in the event that there was something else that you wanted to add.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest difference again is in the scheduling. These are not pre-created with somebody already enrolled in them, or that they go and enroll into a spot that's being held. You're just creating the availability relationships, and then people book their appointments, or the admin books the appointments on the fly. Other differences again are those recurring patterns. In classes, they are weekly. With no option to get rid of a one-off. And we see that all the time. People love the class records and they're like, can I just take one? We know the class isn't going to meet on that one instance. With appointments is a completely different concept. You have your appointments, they are booked. And if you don't want one, you cancel it. So again, no concept of absence and makeup. It's cancel and rebook. And so that is a major difference between the two, is is the cancellation, the bookings and cancellations, as opposed to being enrolled and being absent and doing a makeup. Those single instances, the ability to control them at that level is a huge difference in concept. So,
okay. All right, I see that so many great questions are being asked in the chat. And we have two amazing moderators in the backstage of this webinar, and they are copying and pasting those, and they are sending them to us just to ensure that we can get to them at the very end of the webinar. So if you do have, so just know we might not be addressing them in the chat right now, but we are collecting them to answer at the end. You can also put it in the Q&A, as well. So I think this might be one that a couple of you maybe came to this session for. Amber, I'm going to direct this one to you first. How have you seen Jackrabbit clients using appointments so far? And what services are they offering with this feature outside of like the private lesson?
Right. So we talked about how that was like the initial problem we were trying to solve. And so we needed to name it something that allowed more things to be included, but that also didn't necessarily help people correlate how they could use it. So we actually did a little bit of analysis on some of our early adopters to put together some information on how they're using it. And I believe Nicole is going to share the link in the chat. We've got a nice little download you can save, but obviously private lessons are almost half of you that are using appointments are using it that way. But I've also seen it used differently across our industry. So if you're thinking about dance, music, swim, gymnastics, cheer, some use it as birthday parties or room or space rentals, skill evaluations, auditions, really anything where you need to look at when space is available. Because remember, this is keeping you from double booking your space or your instructors. And so she did just drop those in the chat if you guys want to click on that and save it to your computer. But that'll just get your creative juices going so you can think about ways that you can use it that's going to save you time and prevent those awkward double booking moments that you never want to have.
Awesome. Thank you for expanding on that. And please make sure that you check out those two infographics that were dropped in the chat. It's just a way of sharing with you all how other people are using appointments and using this feature. Sometimes whenever you're thinking about like getting started, it's a good just kind of reference point for, oh, this is how other people are using it. Got it. It might not work for you, but it could spark some other ideas. And if you guys have any other options, if you guys have any other examples of how you're using appointments, please share it in the chat. I think that would be really exciting for us to see and hear, and for your peers too as well. Jeannie, I guess piggybacking on, I should have saved my soapbox moment for after I asked you this question, I guess. I did want to ask you about creative ways early adopters were using appointments, since you talked about working with the beta testers so much. So I guess following up on Amber's, just how clients are using appointments, what are some of the most creative ways you are seeing our clients use appointments?
During beta testing, it was kind of fun, actually. I almost want to say, and I don't know for sure, I probably actually go back and pull that data, like what was the actual first appointment type that was booked?
Oh, that would be good to see.
But I want to say the first appointment types that I saw being created when I was working with our beta testers were room rentals. Those were like so fast out of the box, because they could say, we have room rental studio ABC, or pool and these sections of pool, however they wanted to organize it. And then the admins could go in and just do ad hoc bookings. And so they were scheduling off space like that using the appointment types. Some other ones that were creative that I saw right away were facility tours. That, of course, we just had admin booking at that point. So it was the administrators, but they'd have somebody call in and then they would book it and be able to see it on the activities calendar, which was really nice. They didn't have to create a whole class to do that. We also, at one of the first ones, I mean, we've had things like apparel fittings, photo day, time slots, especially since the parent portal bookings came out, that parents could book those. But a real creative one, I think, that tops the list of ones I hadn't thought about were office staff shifts. So really early on, one of our beta testers created a family account, put all their staff into it as a staff account, and then they would create shifts. And this could be things outside of teaching. So office desk, like front desk shift or cleaning shift, or there was a number of different ones, but that's what they were using appointments for right from the get-go. So that was a really neat one.
That is a neat one.
Shift.
I'm sorry, Amber, I cut you off.
I said I like that office shift one because, you know, we've seen people be creative with classes to do the same thing, but that could work too.
And Jeannie, your response, like right at the beginning of that question, you should go back and see what the first appointment booked appointment was. And we should tell that client, hey, congratulations, you had the first appointment booked at Jackrabbit. I don't know if they would care. I think it would be cool. All right, so let me see. You guys are asking phenomenal questions. Thank you. I only have a couple of more, and then we can get into the ones that you all are submitting. So Amber, we know why appointments are a big deal for making booking services easier, but really, how is it affecting revenue and resource management for our clients or for anyone in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, the way that owners can see and utilize that available space and the resources they have and instructors between classes and events and now appointments with the activity calendar showing you everything at a glance, it really is a great way to increase cash flow without having to do all of that administrative time, whether it's you doing it or your office person doing it. All that manual work takes away from that revenue. And if you can easily find those little holes where you can slide in a private lesson or an evaluation or a fitting, you're making use of your space and your instructors. So whether you're using appointments as the main solution for your offering or just filling in the gaps, that time savings and then being able to offer these easily is where you're going to see that extra revenue.
Right, really optimizing the space and the instructor that might just be in the space, right?
Yeah, and then you don't have to associate a room or an instructor, but if you do, you really are setting yourself up for success and not double booking a person or space.
Right. All right. Last question for you both. A little off the cuff, trying to zing you a little bit. If you were in a room on the phone, face to face with a youth activity center owner who was on the fence about using appointments, I think we might have a couple here. What would be your elevator pitch to get them on board?
All right, here we go. I think I've talked enough about time savings, but think about your parents and the experience that they want to have. You're more likely to get people in the door and enrolling or booking if they can do it themselves, and it's very easy. So when you give that over to parents and you allow them to book from the portal, you're going to see that revenue go up even more. Not only are you utilizing your space and your instructors really well, but you're utilizing the tools that you've already paid for to help fill in those spots and get more students in the door. So
yeah, that self-service, like as a parent myself who uses Jackrabbit, like, yes, oh my gosh, I forgot. It's late in the day. I forgot to call to see if they have a space available to meet with my daughter, right? Like, let the parent be able to go in and book. So yeah, I think that's a good elevator pitch. Jeannie, do you want to give yours?
So appointments, like Amber said, it can be revenue generating. Obviously, you know, if parents or you're booking parents or they're booking their own appointments and there's fees associated with those are going to bring you more money. But time is also wealth. So give yourself back some time. When you set up your appointment types for whatever those things are after the initial setup, then the Jackrabbit is taking over the work to go. I don't know if any of you experienced this, but you go and you have to look at your instructor schedules, and then you have to pull up a calendar next to that and look and see if the room is open, and then go and see, like, is the student already in another class? And that is time consuming. So it is all about time savings and giving yourself back time wealth, and letting Jackrabbit do the work for you.
That's awesome. Yeah, one of somebody that I work closely with at Jackrabbit, one thing that she always says is we're all about time giving, not time taking. And I think that that is just the perfect way to quickly say what this feature really can provide for our clients. All right, so those were that was the end of the questions that I had for you all. I do want to do another poll, and I'm going to share my screen, just maybe. Share my screen. Share. Give me a moment.
What happens? We're live and in action.
That's what happens when you have a lot of tabs open and a lot of screens everywhere. That's why I didn't go into video production or anything like that. All right. So, yes, thank you, Nicole, for popping up this poll. Just really after hearing this, and maybe it's a little premature because we still have the Q&A to come, but who's interested in starting to use appointments, or maybe you just want to talk about it a little bit more and need some extra time to think about it?
And there's no wrong answer.
There is no wrong answer. I love having time to think, so I might be choosing the second option. All right, we're about 60-30. That's fantastic. I'm excited for you all of you, really. If you're ready to get started, or if you need more time to think about it, we have resources and teams who can help you think about it and help answer some questions. So I'm going to go ahead and end this poll. Okay, I ended the poll. So now we're going to do a couple of questions that you all have answered. I'm going to put up the contact links just so you guys have plenty of time to look at them. So let me... Questions. Okay, this is one of the first ones that was asked, so I'm going to ask it first. Are appointments linked to an online calendar are appointments linked to an online calendar we use on our website?
I can take that one, Molly.
Okay.
So we have a solution for appointments now in the parent portal, and obviously you need an account, so they have to register to get access to the parent portal, and then they can browse your appointment types there. For new families, we are looking at some solutions for that, and we're kind of intertwining that research with how our registration flow already works. So that'll be upcoming in phase 3 of appointments, as we're throwing out this term phase that we use internally. So that is coming, and more to be announced about putting that on your website for families who don't have an account yet, or they don't want to log in and they just want to look at your appointment types. So stay tuned for more on that, or keep reaching out, and we'll be able to expand on that here in the upcoming weeks.
Excellent. So Lewis, I hope that helped answer your question. And Jeannie, like you said, upcoming in phase 3, and we will absolutely, Amber does a fantastic job of sharing with our clients when features have been released. And so if you guys aren't receiving a weekly newsletter or product update emails from Amber, remind me, what do they need to be marked as in their account so that they can receive your emails? It's owner,
manager,
manager,
and office. Yeah.
Owner, manager, and office staff. So if you aren't receiving those emails, maybe make sure that you're marked as owner, manager, or office staff, so you can hopefully get those emails. If you're not, you can also just reach out to any one of us, and we'll make sure that there's nothing going on in the back end, so where you aren't receiving our emails. Okay, shameless plug there, but I wanted to take the opportunity to do it. Okay. Some of these, you might just tell me, Molly, this is a little too deep. They need to go to support. So if we get into any of that territory, just let me know. So someone is asking, would Jackrabbit be able to apply packages and discounts when someone schedules an appointment for private lessons?
You want to take that, Amber, or you want me to?
I can start and then you can keep me honest there. At this time, there's no automated discounting or prorating in appointments. So whatever the fee is that you set for that appointment type would be what is posted and what would be owed. But if that is on the radar, I'll let Jeannie speak to that as far as if that's coming or still up for consideration.
Yeah, and that's correct. Right now, there's no prorating, discounting, packaging for appointments quite yet. And in fact, when we were first rolling out appointments feature, that was the request that people wanted something that they could just get, they could detach, and it would be its own separate thing that was not stuck to the way classes handle tuitions, discounting, fixed fees, and all of that. They just wanted something basic that they could stick a price on and have it considered and posted and collected on its own. Now over time that, we may iterate on that and have, I can see packages definitely being a thing. So again, stay tuned. I'm sure it'll evolve.
Yeah, that's really great context. Thank you. Can agreements, policies be added to appointments?
Yes.
Yes.
That was one of the first things that we looked at doing. So when you create your appointment type, whatever service that you're offering, you have access to your policy groups in your database, and you can select which ones or create new ones to attach to your appointment type. And then when folks book those in the parent portal, those are reflected if they haven't agreed to them.
Fantastic. All right, so Mandy is asking, and this might be one where we could push to tomorrow's session on the how-to, but how do we see availability for multiple rooms and multiple teachers? Is there an easy way to share that?
Amber, you might be able to word it differently, and I would say tomorrow's the day.
Yeah.
To really get your visuals and to get a little bit of the step through process that might have the light bulbs go off because the concept's so different. But you certainly can pull up your activities calendar and see what you have going on live between your classes, events, and appointments all in the same spot. And also if you're in I don't know if it's instructor view. I need to jump into the activities calendar. But if your staff has availability in their staff record, then that can be displayed at the activities calendar level too. So, I mean, you can certainly view it, but you don't have to. We are actually, if you've associated them to your appointment types, and again, it's hard to explain that until you get your eyes on it. Once all of the things are associated, then we are just doing all that work for you. We're going in and saying, is this open? Is this open at the same time? Is this open at the same time? And then we say, it is open for this duration of time at 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 7 o'clock, or whatever the parameters are.
Yeah, I think one thing to correlate here is if some of you are using like Calendly or Acuity as a current solution, it's that same kind of booking engine where it's considering all these different factors and what's open and where before it serves up what the options are for them to book. So it's within that threshold.
Rachel, I see your question. And I love the example and the use case. I'm going to share that with other people not on this call, because I think that that's a really good use case and something for us to consider. So you might get a response to that, just one off. So Amber, I think you were talking about this a little bit. There was a question, is there a way to allow customers to book for the next day up until a certain time the evening before? Jeannie, I know that you would hit on that, like start time increments in one of your responses. So can you guys elaborate on that just a little bit more?
Yeah, so when you go into I believe it's the appointment type. You can say parents can book in the portal and you can give that threshold, and the same for cancellation. Jeannie, you could probably speak to it in more detail than me because I'm totally going off of visual memory.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, if you're, I mean, admin can do what they need to do when they need to do it, but if you're allowing parent portal booking and cancellation, you have separate settings, and then you have a time threshold for those, and you can set them to be whatever you want them to be.
Okay. Thank you. There's one question that I can answer about tomorrow's session. Tomorrow's session is at noon. It's the same time as today's session. And if you are on today, you're already registered for tomorrow's session. You can use the same link to join. So you've killed two birds with one stone, as the saying goes. So just make sure you're logging on at 12 Eastern. Okay, so a couple other questions that came in. We're still doing good on time. Thank you everyone for holding on. We already hit on that one about last minute cancel. Did we hit on last minute cancellations?
There's a threshold. Yeah, that's the threshold. If you don't want parents to be able to cancel their lesson a certain amount of time before the actual appointment, at your appointment type, when you're creating it, you tell Jackrabbit what you want that threshold to be.
Okay. Let's see. We've hit on both of those about being on website. A lot of you guys are thinking very much so along the same lines. Okay. Existential. What is the benefit of using appointments over events for private lessons? I think we kind of hit on that a little bit earlier. Really, like it's your own choice here.
Yeah, it
really is. I think it's case by case. You know, what the values of each of those features are. I think with appointments, I can say play around with them. Build an appointment type that doesn't have anything associated, and see how that works for you and whatever scenarios your business might need that for. Then go in and associate one instructor and just look at that, or many instructors, and it's the learning curve, I think, at the beginning, because it's just a different concept of, hey, I'm going to create this, tell Jackrabbit, like, this is what I want you to look for, and then let Jackrabbit do the work for you. Where events, you're doing all the pre-work. Like, you're having to go in there and make sure all of those times don't have conflicts, and then create them. But if that's working for you, then there's no reason not to continue doing that.
Yeah, and I would add, if you want that to happen more than one time, on any repetition, we know events are one-day things. So if you set them up as events and they happen more than one time, then the parent has to then sign up for that twice or 3 times or however many times. Whereas if you use appointments and it's recurring, then you're just essentially setting or booking it one time.
And also events, you have to create your agreements specifically for your event type. Appointments are going to be able to use the policy groups that you already have created in your database that you use for classes. So there's some consistency with policy groups where you can reuse those or create new ones, and not have to do that every single time you make a new event type.
So some of you are asking really, really specific questions, and I would suggest that you use the support at Jackrabbit Tech, or all of the support resources that we have, checkup calls, chatting in with our support team to maybe walk you through those very specific scenarios, like Cat 1s, Cat 2s, all of those things. I don't necessarily think we need to get into at this moment. Perhaps we hit on them tomorrow, but just remember that we have our our phenomenal support team who is available to walk you through those use cases too. A couple more questions from, well, a couple more. We're not going to get through all of these. You guys have asked some phenomenal questions. Okay, so could appointments be used for drop-in style schedule adult classes that meet weekly? So could it be used for drop-ins?
I think I saw that. I glanced at that real quick and made me to think on that more, although I've kind of been thinking on it. So appointments, you can set up an appointment type and set the max amount of people that can book that appointment. So in a way that immediately turns it into a group. But the appointment won't exist until one person, at least one person books it. At that point, it literally becomes something that people can drop into. I'll leave it at that for right now. And for whoever's asking that question, if they want to explore it more, I'd say get together with our support team. As far as a concept, we'll continue looking at the ability of having appointment bookings exist with no student, but right now that's not possible. But if you can get one that has at least one student booked into it, then it's fair game for people to use as drop-ins with the fee, and it'll work brilliantly. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, can you set up default appointment types with different fee settings? Do we need some more context to that question?
I may need a more specific use case, but each appointment type, you can create as many appointment types as you want and set whatever fee you want for that type. So if you have similar offerings that have different fee amounts, you would just want to create a different appointment type for each of those.
Okay, so appointment type, somebody is asking, can we set categories on appointments? That would just be the appointment type, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, 1, 2, and 3.
Excellent. Okay. I understand it cross-references. Okay, so I understand appointments cross-reference room conflicts. How would it know of a teacher's availability?
That's a good one. So, obviously it's going to look for, is the teacher scheduled in a class? But I think it was a couple years ago, we introduced staff availability, which really helps with the substitutes feature. And I encourage you to also make sure that you have your staff input that information. So outside of the classes they teach, what would be their availability so that you can offer additional services to fill in those gaps on your calendar. And they can add that information from the staff portal. So you don't have to do it for them. They can go in there and put in their time available, and then they can also do time off. So let's say they have a planned vacation or they have a doctor's appointment. They can put that information in there, and that all comes into play whenever you're scheduling and booking appointments.
All right, I'm going to ask one more and then we'll start wrapping it up. And this might be future phases. And so I think the theme is we've developed this a long time, not a long time, across a period of time, and we're going to continue to release more. So will this be available for booking in the app? And I think they're talking about parents being able to book appointments through their app.
The mobile app?
Through the mobile app, yes.
Yep, they can do it.
Excellent.
If a parent logs in.
Already there for you.
Yeah, if the parent's logged into their mobile app, they can book appointments through that, as long as you're allowing the appointment type to be booked.
Excellent. And if those of you don't know what this mobile app is, I encourage you to look up Jackrabbit Plus. You can get your own branded mobile app, and it is for your parents to use. It matches the branding of your youth activity center, and it's very slick and it's very handy. All right. Whew, those were some good ones, and I know we scratched the surface on some of them. So please, if you are a returning customer client, make sure that you are using all of the support resources that we have available to you to get your questions answered. So we are at, or or if you're new, sorry to exclude you, or if you're new, you can reach out to our sales team, info@jackrabbittech.com. I know either one of those teams will just be tickled pink to talk to you. So please don't hesitate to reach out. A reminder, we have a follow-up session to today's panel. It's happening at the exact same time tomorrow. It is called Live and Unfiltered, Mastering Appointment Setup in Real Time. And I touched on this a little bit earlier, but just what's going to be happening here. If you are a client, you'll be able to spend some time in a breakout room with Jackrabbit's training specialist. She'll be walking through some general settings of appointments. And this is an encore to a training that she did earlier in the year, and it was really well received by our clients who are wanting to learn how to use appointments earlier this year. So come and join Emily in that breakout room. And then for those of you who are considering Jackrabbit, we'll have another breakout room where we'll go through some scenarios for how you could use appointments in a little more detail. And so it's really scenario based, and quickly show you what that would look like in Jackrabbit, so you can have a better understanding of the look and feel of the application to help you move forward. Both of those breakout rooms are going to be a great place where you can ask questions. You guys came with them today, so we might not be able to get to all of them, but it's a really great opportunity for you to ask your questions and just communicate and work with our team a little bit more. And here I am giving my announcement. At the end of tomorrow's session, we will be doing a drawing for a $50 Amazon gift card. That's at the end of the session. So please make sure you attend and stick around so that you have a chance to win. Thank you again for coming. I sincerely enjoyed hearing everything you had to say. Jeannie, Amber, wealth of knowledge, like I said at the beginning, you two truly are. I really appreciate both of your time today. So thank you, everyone. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.